to dominate other people, to be at the highest level. You know, you have power over everyone. But to me, I think a king means you help out, you try the best you can, show effort in everything you do, and lift people up to do better.
To me, what being a king is just being your own person and being a leader.
I think anytime you have an opportunity for them to be celebrated, provide speakers, provide presentations from COSI to the City of Columbus, to the mayor's office, to the deputy and the sheriff's department, and just a number of administrators and people from the community who actually came out to support this event.
ICE Mentors here, which is a partner of Columbus City Prep for Boys, who's coming and talking about character building, male etiquette, you know, how we treat the ladies, right? Yes, ma'am, no, ma'am.
My mom, she pushed me. She support me. She just tell me what I need to do to go on in life. The best mom ever I could ever have.
Met with some of the younger kids, talked to them, really found that to be really interesting.
I've experienced many things, and one thing I've learned is how to socialize and communicate in difficult situations.
Being a leader, taking ownership of things that you have done.
I am a king, I am educated, right? Recognizing that these affirmations are imperative. The world already sees us one way, and our goal is to control our own narrative, but there's nothing that can stop us from achieving our goals.
I'm not a follower, because a follower can lead you into trouble and end your whole career. And I don't want that to happen to me. I want to move on and get a scholarship.
You was picked for a reason, and to really appreciate that others who helped you be in the spot that you are in now.
I can be a role model by doing the right thing, showing integrity, being service-minded, correcting people when they're doing the wrong thing.
There are other men here in high positions that are role models for these young men to say, here are the possibilities, here is what you can think about post-high school.
And there's no way we can do it individually. The needs are too great, but collectively we can make a significant impact. I hope that the event grows beyond just Region 2, just due to the fact that we're all now operating in isolation, but we're coming together collectively to do what's best for kids. Because, you know, my favorite poet once said, if there's no hope for the youth, then there's no hope for the future, i.e. Tupac Shakur.
I'm smart. I'm a young man. I'm an educated man. I am a king. Being able to remind themselves of that when you're having hard days, when the assignments are too hard, when the work doesn't make sense, when you fail a test, we embrace failure, understanding that at the end of the day, I am a king. And that's the message that we hope they take with them.
I've been with CCS for almost 15 years. When I first started, I was an instructional assistant for the ESL department. I did that for about 8 years. Then I moved on to helping with first and third grade for a few months. And then I landed in my favorite position, pre-K, and I've been there for about 7 years.
I chose to work in Columbus City Schools because it is the school district that is responsible for my education from K through 12 and is responsible for the education of my children K through 12. And so I have an affinity with the district, and I wanted to come back and contribute because of the experience that I had within the district. I work in a special needs program, so one of the most rewarding experiences is just coming in, working with our children who don't have language of any kind and teaching them American Sign Language so that they can communicate with us, and seeing them verbalize when they don't have anything to begin with.
When I get to have my pre-K promotions at the end of the year, you know, the kids are in their caps and gowns and they get to move on to kindergarten, and it's like celebrating everything they've done all year. It's like, it's a great moment every year. It's like, I can look forward to having that memorable moment. I'm the first impression that our parents and caregivers and students have for CCS. I'm that first stepping stone for school. So I feel like I have a lot of impact. Like if I can make their first year with us great, then that sets them up as they continue on. So I'm a big believer in the impact of.
Probably one of my most rewarding was when I received the Channel 10 Classroom Hero. I also was a nominated Teacher of the Year in the Linden area. And just watching children grow and go off to college and come back to me, so that's really exciting. I think the work that I do and the time that I put into each individual children prepares them for the future, prepares them for whether they're going to college or not going to college just so that they become great citizens.
You know, I came here when I was 18 as an immigrant, and you know, the district, I went here to the district. So as a student, they helped me out, you know, ESL student who don't speak English. So I just felt like teachers were very helpful, and you know, now I just want to pay it forward. I just want to help other kids just like how my teachers helped me to be where I'm at today. You know, being the first person to graduate in my family was very hard for me to kind of grasp everything that went to it. But my teachers were there from day one to help every single minute. And one of my teachers even drove me from school to the administration office to make sure that all my papers are in and, you know, everything is set so that I can start school the next Monday. So I felt like that was so poignant, how the teachers cared about the students, their success and things like that. So I just felt like, you know, hey, this is what I want to be. This is what I want to do, you know, just help kids like myself who need help. Because if it wasn't them, I would not be sitting where I'm at right now.
The diversity, there are so many opportunities in Columbus that other small towns don't give you. We have a lot of resources here, but just the diversity of the families and the people that live here.
For the early childhood educator who's considering a career in Columbus City Schools, do it. We will come a rally around you, and you start somewhere, but that is not where you end up. We will grow with you, and you will be surprised at the amount of professional growth and personal growth that you will have working with our children in this district.
Time for school. Have a good day at school. I love you.
Math is everywhere you look. It's in everything you do, and it can be fun to use. Won't you join us on today's episode?
Hello and welcome back to Math Everywhere. I'm Renee Harris, your math magician, helping you to see the magic in math. Today we're spending some time at Oakland Nursery with summer experience students from East Linden Elementary School. We're going to see what kind of math is involved in planning and preparing for gardens. Come on, let's go inside. So, look what I found. A nice little bag of Beet Detroit Supreme seeds. So when we're thinking about planting gardens, we have to have a plan on where we're getting started. And that plan first involves what kind of seeds are we going to need for planting. Now, the cost of this bag of seeds is $2.79.
The Policy and Governance Committee meeting will call to order. Mr. Williams, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Vogel? Here. Ms. Smith?
Here.
Ms. Ellingson?
Present.
Dr. Miranda?
Here.
Mr. Dare?
Present.
Ms. Ingles?
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, we have a quorum. The committee will review and approve the minutes from the March 9th, 2026 meeting. Are there any additions or changes to the meeting minutes?
So moved.
Do we have a second to approve
Seconded.
the minutes? Thank you. Mr. Williams, will you please call the roll?
Ms. Ingles?
Yes.
Ms. Adair?
Yes.
Dr. Miranda?
Yes.
Ms. Ellingson?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Vogel?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, on board docs, the agenda is stated. We have items 1 through 5 with a number of policy recommendations in section 4 of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Williams, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Vogel?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Ellingson?
Yes.
Dr. Miranda?
Yes.
Ms. Adair?
Yes.
Chair Ingles?
Yes.
Motion carries.
We'll move into item 3.1, which is our update on the educational options policy, policy 2370. This is separate from section 4 policies that we will be asking this committee to adopt and move forward to the board. So I will turn it over to our legal team.
We have Dr. Corey Grubbs here to speak to us on.
Dr. Grubbs,
this
would you
topic.
mind coming up?
Good evening, board members. So first of all, just want to say thank you for giving us the opportunity to update you on our educational options policy, the work we've been doing for the past month, and then we'll be doing over the next 3 months. So I want to share just a timeline with you, just a couple minutes of your time. Actually right here. Thank you. It's a different slide, Daddy.
Please change the slide.
It's
says the
different
wrong
slide
slide
deck.
deck.
Okay, I think we have the wrong deck up.
It should be education options.
Bear with us for a minute
One
as
second.
we get the right slide
I
deck
can
up
share
here.
with, I have my computer. Would that help if I share with you right quick?
You have to share with me. Yeah, that'd be good.
What's your email?
C. Williams 6.
You should have it right now. It's called Educational Options Policy Update. I should have it up by now.
All right. Well, while we are waiting, I do have some updates that I can share with the board. and so I'll just go ahead and do that. I wanted to share that we have been moving along as a board on adopting a number of the policies that have been reviewed and analyzed by this committee, so thank you all so very much for your work. In March, the board adopts the entrance requirements policy. It adopted a promotion, placement, and retention policy. It adopted a graduation requirement policy, a middle and high school determination of grades policy, our AI policy that we worked through. We had care of students with diabetes, use of medications, and misbranded foods. And then in April, our board adopted the health services, immunization, care of students with chronic health conditions, and care of students with active seizure disorders policies, a food allergy policy, and an emergency medical authorization. We also recently adopted a student accident policy in order to comply with current law. And obviously you have the agenda in front of you about the policies that we are currently analyzing. So I want to say thank you to the committee for all of your hard work. This board has adopted a lot of policies in the last couple of months, bringing us into compliance with things that we have long needed to update the language to do. And so that's no small feat, and something that we should all be very proud of. So, did we get the right version up?
That's perfect.
Okay, Dr. Grubbs, we're going to turn it over to you. We're on item 3.1.
Awesome. So again, thank you for this opportunity to share with you tonight just some updates about our educational options work we've been doing. Before you can see on the screen, there's a timeline. It talks about the work we've been doing and when we've been working on it. We started the work group in March of 2026, and it's a work group that consists of members from different departments, cross-functional teams, academic services, child, members from legal, from our VCAP office as well. We've been working on looking at the overall policy 2370 and looking at how it covers a lot of options when it comes to credit flex and all the things that it would tell within that. We will continue to work over the next 3 months from May to August. And then the goal is to get tight on our admin guidelines as it relates to different components that will fall within that umbrella, including our VCAP guidelines as well. And then we're going to come back in September 26 and present a policy, to present to the policy committee in September. So as we learned with our grading, our graduation work this year, our team needs time to adequately prepare research and make recommendations for our educational options policy to include language, particularly around our district credit advancement options that we have within the system. We plan to apply a similar process to this policy recommendation and ensure that stakeholder feedback is reflected in the final policy, and administrative guidelines will be created to accompany that policy as well. We plan to work with Internal Auditor O'Connor and his team to ensure that we've addressed any previous concerns that are related to virtual credit options through VCAP, whether it's credit recovery or credit advancement. And our work group, again, like I said, we're going to work consistently over the next 3 months, looking at all components of Policy 2370, seeking to make sure we provide clarity and address details throughout admin guidelines. Again, as you can see in the timeline, we began working in March, and we'll be back before this group in September to present the policy to the committee. So, all right. Any questions?
So we are expecting a September timeline as far as when we will see the next version of the drafted policy from the work group.
Yep. At the same time, we'll be working on admin guidelines as well at the same time with that.
Great. If anyone is watching this in the public and has feedback on the policy, or if any of our committee members currently have feedback or thoughts on the policy, where would you like them to direct said feedback?
Absolutely, they can direct it to me. My email is cgrubbs@columbus.k12.oh.us. You can find it on the website, but I'm the point of contact for this work with this committee.
Great. And so the work group is working on it. We will present a new draft to this committee at a future committee meeting. But in the meantime, if anyone has any burning thoughts or questions, please feel free to reach out to Dr. Grubbs. Are there any questions from the committee members at this point?
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Krebs.
All right.
Oh, sorry, one question.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Chair Ingalls.
Yes.
Dr. Grubbs, I don't know. So I think at the last meeting, there was some I was trying to recall notes from this, and there was discussion that there was not currently a VCAP policy. And part of the question here was like whether there should be. Right. Is that still the question, or has this, I mean, is that the work group is focused on, or has this group moved on to decided that there should be a policy and they're trying to figure out what the policy is?
Yeah, VCAP really falls under educational options. There's a piece in that policy talks about online learning, online courses, and VCAP, that credit recovery or credit advancement is done in that online sector. So the piece needs to take place is we really need to write some clear admin guidelines for VCAP. That will be, distributed to all our principals and all the folks that are using VCAP. So it falls within the policy of ed options, but we got to have clear admin guidelines, which is the next step.
Okay.
Yeah.
But there is going to be, the idea is to create a policy that's about educational options.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And I think that another theme in these discussions have been about like inclusion of students and student feedback in these kinds of work groups. What is the work group doing to engage and include student feedback?
So we got a couple of phases. So right now we have a team of central office administrators that we're working on the first phase. The next phase is we're going to bring in principals, principals who use it. We have high school principals. The next phase in, then we'll bring our labor partners in, and then we'll bring students in. So we have a phased-in approach. So right now it's central office, then our principals to get feedback. That may consist of our principal cabinet, which is 12 principals represented throughout the district. Then we'll bring our labor partners in, and then we'll bring in students.
Okay. So thanks, Dr. Krebs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mr. O'Connor, did you have something?
Jess, was right along my line, students and teachers. I didn't hear teachers when you're talking about bringing principals in.
Yeah, so the labor partners will be teachers.
Okay.
Yes,
Right.
that's our
Fantastic.
CEA partners. I should have said CEA members.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Any other questions or comments from the committee? Thank
All
you,
right.
Dr. Krebs.
All right, thank you all. Okay.
All right, we will go ahead and move along into item 4.1, which is consideration of policy 5200, the attendance policy. I know that we have a presentation from our whole child supports team. So would you all make your way? Thank you.
My name is Lauren Lopez. I serve as the Director of Attendance, Climate, and Culture in the Office of Whole Child Supports. And I'll just be walking you through a brief timeline and some of the things that we're already doing to implement the attendance policy changes that are required by state law now. So this is just a quick overview of the timeline. So once the biennial budget was signed, we presented the information we received in telling us that we needed to update our attendance policy by August of this year. We then reviewed the FAQ that was released by the Office of Department of Education and Workforce to make sure that what we were thinking about with the law change aligned with what the department was thinking. And then we headed into some legal compliance meetings with the district. And then we finalized a proposal and work plan for the district to figure out how we wanted to implement these changes. We then presented that work plan and our proposal to our whole child supports leadership team, as well as to our strategic performance leadership. And then on September 30th, we presented the final proposal to the core team for the district. At that time, we started preparing professional development and implementation adult learning sessions across the district, various focus groups that included principals at the elementary, secondary level, counselors, social workers, attendance team, folks who work on our truancy filings, to make sure that everyone across the district was aware of the changes and what that meant for implementation within our day-to-day work. We've been implementing and piloting various initiatives and programs to align with the new law. So now we are seeking to make sure that we can get approval of the new policy effective by August as according to the state requirements. Some of the key changes that happened with the law. So before September 2025, it was required that all school buildings had an attendance intervention team. And after the new law, that is not required. It is only required that there's at least one attendance intervention team. So we are now utilizing a district-wide attendance intervention team. Before September, there were triggering absence hours, and notifications really varied across the district. It was not very consistent in implementation. Moving forward, we now, for the state law, requires an early notification of at least 5%, so that students are identified early before chronic absenteeism really hits. Previously, there was a bigger focus on reducing habitual truancy. With the new law, the real focus is on proactive intervention to reduce chronic absenteeism. So we're talking about working with families more intentionally to make sure that we're doing our best to remove root causes and barriers to attendance. And then finally, one of the key areas are these formal attendance intervention plans. Those specific documents are no longer required. However, the new law does mandate that we are doing root cause analysis for any students who have been identified at early risk of chronic absenteeism, and then providing mandated tiered focus interventions and supports for those students. So what we feel like this really accomplishes is that we'll be able to work smarter and not harder. So now these new flexibilities will empower our schools to enhance student attendance effectively, streamlining our triggers. So if the law is saying 5%, we're working with our internal SIS system to ensure that we can send out those early notifications at the 4% marker to identify those students early. This allows us to really engage with families and focus on collaboration to reduce those attendance barriers and promote daily engagement. This also allows for integrated support. So with the removal of the siloed attendance team, we're really pushing our schools to embed this work within teams that already exist in the school. So how can we have a more integrated approach to attendance barriers, either through their PBIS teams, matriculation teams, or MTSS teams? And then this also will allow us to really apply efficient interventions and proactive prevention to barriers that are causing our students to not attend school. This also allows us to really focus on pre-truancy intervention so that students don't even hit that requirement. At the district level, what this has allowed us to do is really monitor our strategy and implementation, and then be really intentional about our district-wide messaging, and then leveraging our early warning and absenteeism dashboard in our Infinite Campus system, again, for that early risk identification. And then we've spent the year really pushing professional development to enhance team capacity and systems alignment. Any questions?
All right, I anticipate we're going to have a lot of questions about the language and why certain things are defined certain ways and why things exist the way that they exist. But I guess I'll start with kind of a overarching question is, so we talk a lot about chronic absenteeism and a lot of our test scores and performance and a lot of how you perform in the classroom can be correlated somewhat to how many times you are in the classroom to be learning. What are some opportunities that you saw during this process with creation of the policy? And then are there any opportunities that you identified in working through the policy that maybe aren't reflective of the language of the policy, but that the district has taken forward?
Okay, so for the first part, I think the new policy and the new law really allows us to get collaborative, not just internally. So really thinking about our integrated MTSS model. So how are we having intentional conversations about attendance being a non-academic barrier to student success? And when we're bringing that into those more integrated teams, you have more people at the table. So when it was just the attendance team, you might not have building level leadership as a part of those conversations. But now that you're incorporating it into these existing teams such as MTSS or PBIS or matriculation, they're having a more nuanced conversation about our students and the root causes that are preventing students from coming to school. So it's not just that they don't care and they're not coming. But now we get to really look at the early warning dashboard and see what are the actual reasons that are preventing our students from being at school on time every day. And then the second question, if you can repeat it.
I think it was just generally, what did you learn through the process, and how have we evolved our practices through the analysis of this policy?
Yeah, I think I've learned a lot about partnership with families is so key in the policy and also in the new law. So one of the really interesting things in the law is that if a student is making progress towards their attendance and it's improving, the school can hold off on filing truancy. And I think that's a big move, moving us away from compliance and really working with families. And when we're seeing movement, giving them some time to continue to respond to those interventions.
Thank you. Dr. Miranda, do you have your hands up? Sorry.
I'm kind of curious because, of course, the news has highlighted that we have let go attendance people. And so I want to know, can we still do this with the personnel that we have?
Yeah, I think it's going to take us strategically thinking about how we redistribute our resources. Going from 9 to 2 is a change and a shift. I think it's possible. It's just really thinking about how can we streamline the work and how do we help to build the capacity of our school teams to make it happen.
Then the other question I have, I'm really kind of curious. Do you have like categories of root causes?
Yes.
I'm curious about that because our absenteeism is so high.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering if it's falling into certain buckets, which is allowing you to develop effective interventions to deal with those buckets.
Yeah, so one of the tools that we mentioned in the slide deck is the early warning indicator dashboard. That allows us a starting point to start to have a deeper conversation about what might be preventing students from coming every day. And that early warning dashboard shows us 4 different categories. So that's curriculum, so we're looking at progress by course, grades, then we have attendance as a factor, and then we have behavior, so you're looking at suspensions, out of school, in school, et cetera, and then stability. So that looks at how many times maybe a student has moved within the district. So using those 4 broad categories kind of gives us a key into what is the highest leverage category, and then how do we assign the right person in that tier 2 team to provide the right intervention based on the highest leverage point, based on those root causes.
One thing that I didn't explain before is part of the reason why the language has changed is that there was a budget bill passed, the Ohio budget bill passed in 2025 that shifted our attendance law from a strong focus on truancy to supporting students at risk of becoming chronically absent, and that's something that you've highlighted. So that's why I was so interested in what you've learned through the conversations. But essentially, schools are no longer required to assign students to absence intervention teams, and those teams were required to develop the truancy intervention plans under prior law. And so instead, districts are required to establish at least one absence intervention team under district-wide to work with students at risk of becoming chronically absent and their families to improve student attendance. So that's something that's very exciting. But to Dr. Miranda's point, when we are facing these budget crises and we are having to continually cut, that is concerning on how we actually implement the work moving forward.
I just want to highlight the definition of chronically absent, because you said kids not coming to school. Well, we can actually have a student actually show up to school every day but still be chronically absent because they're late or because they're in suspension or because of all sorts of things. And I think that the community has to understand that. It's by hour.
It's by hour, and it's also excused and unexcused absences. So any time away from instructional minutes is considered minutes counting towards chronic absenteeism.
Can I ask a sort of question out of some ignorance? There are some acronyms that you just used that I didn't know what they are. And so I'm trying to think, maybe you could explain that, and also kind of in this new change, I mean, as more of an outsider to what's going on in the buildings, it sounds like, okay, you used to have these school teams Now there's one team. That seems like fewer supports. So where's the burden falling to actually intervene and try to actually help these kids?
Absolutely.
Who are those people in our buildings?
Yeah, so when moving away from the attendance intervention team, so the AITs that were school level, what we're moving towards is embedding those conversations into the teams that already exist. And those teams could be, some of the acronyms I provided were MTSS, which is multi-tiered system of supports. So those teams typically are looking at academic interventions. What we're trying to do and what the state is also moving towards is this integrated MTSS model, which means we need to look at both academic and non-academic barriers to student success. Attendance behavior falls under those non-academic barriers. The other acronym I said was PBIS, which is Positive Behavior and Intervention Supports. And that also is a tier 1 behavior strategy, right? So how are we bringing the entire school together to really focus on positive behavior? How do we emphasize that, highlight it, recognize it, so that way students are more likely to continue with positive behaviors instead of negative choices? So those are I think the 3 acronyms I said. And the matriculations teams, which exist at the middle and high school, secondary level, those are teams that come together, again, to talk about academic success, making sure that students are matriculating from grade to grade.
I just want to say that when I was on the state board, we thought it was a mistake to have the, what did you call it, the
AIT.
Because there were already all these teams, and we were like, who's going to staff them?
Yeah.
So I do think it's a better move to incorporate it into the MTSS, because that's what you're already doing. And with the PBIS, and then when you have the district team, they can focus especially on those that are chronically absent.
Yep.
You know, because they're, you know, some people may call them the frequent flyers, but it's not, we also have to understand it's a small percentage. So when we're talking about 52%, we also, it's not like 50% of the students. So I think it actually was a very smart move for the law to change and to take it out of the school, because there were too many teams and we don't have enough people, especially related service people, to be able to staff all those teams. They wouldn't be able to do their other jobs.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a good move.
Yeah, and to Mr. Vogel's point, the people who then are doing the interventions are the folks that are staffing those teams. So the expectation is that you have a well-rounded group on those teams. So it's not just teachers or a school leader, but you might have a counselor, a social worker, an attendance program specialist, a peak IA, which is our behavior instructional assistants. So you might have different people from around the building, maybe even someone from safety and security that could help to provide a behavior intervention or an attendance check and connect intervention.
I have a question for you. So there's a component in the policy about driver's education courses, and that's because the legislature passed new Ohio Revised Code 3321.043, which became effective of September 30 of last year, that allowed students enrolled in the district to attend private driving courses and leave school for up to 2 hours. It had to be approved by public safety, and there's all these rules and regulations. How much of that are we actually seeing in our district? How much of that is occurring? I know that obtaining a driver's license is very difficult for lots of students, and I think the goal is to bring driver's ed back into schools, but we would love to see funding attached to said requirements. I was just wondering how many of our students are actually doing that currently.
I don't have that answer with me, but
Okay.
I can look into it and make sure we get it to you.
Okay, thank you.
May I ask, you mentioned like the absenteeism dashboard.
Yes.
Is that something that's an internal tool, or is that something that the public can look at to understand how we're doing in terms of absenteeism in the district?
Yeah, so the absenteeism dashboard that I'm referencing in the slides is internal on our student information system. So schools can go in, click into each of the chronic absenteeism tiers and see the list of students who are identified in those categories. We will be adding ourselves to the statewide dashboard, so that is something that community members will be able to see once that system is synced.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions from the committee? All right, thank you so much
Thank
for your
you.
presentation. We appreciate it. So because we are under current law to adopt a board policy reflecting the changes under the recent budget bill and all of the other areas, that have been changed. We have to do so as a board by August 1st, 2026. And so therefore, I know that there are a couple typos. I see greater opportunity. We'll need to clean that up. But we will make some typo revisions. Absent those, I would like to go ahead and make a motion that we move this draft of the changes to the policy to the Board of Education for review and consideration.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Vogel. Any conversation or discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Williams, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Vogel?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Ellingson?
Yes.
Dr. Miranda?
Yes.
Ms. Adair?
Yes.
Chair Ingles?
Yes.
Motion adopted.
Thank you. Okay, so you will see a number of transportation-related policies, basically items 4.2 all the way down through 4.7. And we have our illustrious Transportation Department gurus here joining us to talk us through all of the policies that we will be looking at tonight. As Mr. Stufflebean and I were talking before this Policy and Governance Committee, there are a couple terms in some of these policies that can be quite confusing. And so they're going to clarify some of that, and then we'll have a question and answer as we do. So I will turn it over to you, Mr. Stufflebean.
Thank you, Chair Ingles. Members of the committee, thank you for having us here tonight. Specifically, do we want to go through each one of these individually, or would you like to give me you want me to give you a kind of a synopsis?
If you don't mind, just kind of high level
Okay.
highlighting each one and what are the changes at a very high level.
Absolutely. A lot of what you're going to hear is me say the same thing repetitively, because over the past few years, we've had several House bills introduced and several introductions from the legislature that have changed how we operate as school transportation. With that being said, some of those changes affected our policies to where we needed to make changes. Some of them did not affect our policies at all because we didn't operate under that type of parameter at that time. So the first one we speak of is PO 4162, which is the drug and alcohol testing of CDL license holders. We had some changes where they've put some things in there that are the Department of Testing, how we test van drivers and such and things like that now who are non-CDL holders. And I'm probably going to mix a couple of these things up a little bit and confuse them because they all tie together. That's the hardest part to explain. We as a district have always been in agreement and following the practices as they've been introduced from the legislature and House bills introductions. This is an attempt to bring all of those policies back in line with the statutes as they require. The drug and alcohol testing, it also referred to controlled substances, the illegal use of what prescription drugs or non-prescription drugs may be allowed, what they test for in the future. They added some language about safety-sensitive functions that has not been part of any of the discussions through this process. Definitively, the CDL license holders and what actually while on duty is about. The term while on duty basically means when that CDL license holder begins to work or is required to be in a readiness for work status. And until the time the CDL holder the holder is relieved from work and all of the responsibilities for performing the work. As you review through these, you'll see the language changes are primarily outlined in green throughout this process. And again, this one primarily is just to bring this up to the same current language that's in statutes. Is there any questions on that one maybe that I can answer? Or?
And so on that policy, there have been 6 Neola updates since we last revised this policy. And so in order to come into compliance with not only new regulation and code, but best practice, and also the actual practice of the district. Correct. There are quite a few changes in here, but that is why. Any questions from the committee on policy 4162? Hearing none, Mr. Stufflebean, I will go ahead and make a motion that we recommend that policy 4162 be moved forward to the Board of Education for review and consideration.
Second.
Seconded by Dr. Miranda. Any discussion or comments? Hearing none, Mr. Williams, will you please call the roll?
Ms. Ingles?
Yes.
Ms. Adair?
Yes.
Dr. Miranda?
Yes.
Ms. Ellingson?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Vogel?
Yes.
Thank
Motion
you.
passes.
All right, Mr. Stufflebean, do you want to take us through item 4.3?
Yes, ma'am. This is a complete revision to the policy 8600, which is the transportation project. Basically, it's the complete revision to the transportation. And again, it's to bring us up to all of the changes that came through House bill implementations and provide current statute that we had already been previously following.
Are there any questions or comments from the committee? Give me a second. And with this one, we had 5 Neola updates since this policy has last been revised by the Board of Education. So I will make a motion that the committee go ahead and recommend policy 8600 to the Board of Education for review and consideration. Is there a second?
I can second.
Ms. Smith seconds.
Is that Danielle?
Yes.
Ms.
Any questions or consideration, questions or comments from anyone on the committee? Hearing none, Mr. Williams, will you please call the roll?
Okay. Mr. Vogel?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Ellingson?
Yes.
Dr. Miranda?
Yes.
Ms. Adair?
Yes.
Chair Ingles?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Can I ask a question that is just kind of funny? Why is it called Transportation Project 2026, the section?
It should be 8,000 operations.
I can answer that. So when I put these policy packages together so people can find where they are, like when I call board docs and I say, hey, we're ready to go active, this indicates this is the package that, it helps me organize in the backside of the drafts and
Okay,
board docs.
so that'll be changed when it goes to
Yes,
the board.
yes, it's just like the policy review committee status portion, that changes as well. This is just kind of a working tool to not lose track of all of this, the backside of board docs.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
All right, so we'll go ahead and move on to item 4.3. Or I'm sorry, we just did 4.3. We are moving on to item 4.4, policy 8600.04, bus and alternative driver certification. This is a policy that has had 3 revisions from Neola since it was last adopted by the Board of Ed, or last revised by the board. So Mr. Stufflebean, can you talk us through this policy?
Yes. This policy added some language to include alternative vehicle, in other words, vans, or it also allows districts to use sedans or any vehicle less than 9 passengers. And it requires meet the minimum qualifications. It outlines those that are primarily the same as what we use for school bus drivers as well. It just changed the language and added the alternative vehicle.
Can I ask a question about the retained applicant fingerprint database that we mentioned?
Yeah.
Is that the same as the wrap back?
That is the wrap back.
That
Yep,
is the wrap
That's the full
back
term of it.
Okay. In our other policies, do we say explicitly wrap back program? And then would you recommend that we say?
I don't
wrap
think
back
we
program?
do say that.
But that is the program that we use in effect.
Yes, ma'am. It was the program that was formerly under the control of the Attorney General's office and has since been relinquished to the Department of Education, or, DEW.
The last, on the second page, it says vehicle transporting students unless the school vehicle, unless the bus driver meets, are you saying unless that's,
That's a typo.
okay,
It's a draft version.
okay, I'm good. I was just wondering, I was trying to understand it.
What should it say, just for clarity?
Unless the bus driver.
Oh, okay, so it shouldn't be no vehicle.
Right.
Okay.
My apologies.
Oh, I see what you, okay. Yeah.
And then to finish out that sentence, it says, in addition, no driver will be permitted to drive a school bus or alternative vehicle transporting students unless, and so all of that, okay, all of that is deleted.
That is intended, it's the colon, and then it's.
It goes to A and B.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Any other questions or concerns? And I probably should have said at the beginning of this that all of our policies that have come to this committee have been reviewed by our labor partners, and no flags have been raised at this time. So thank you to our team for making sure that that happened prior to committee. Any other questions or concerns? Hearing none, I will go ahead and make the motion that the committee recommend policy 8600.04 to the Board of Education for review and consideration. Do we have a
Second.
Dr. Miranda seconds. Any last conversation or comments, questions? Hearing none, Mr. Williams, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Vogel?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Ellingson? Ms. Ellingson?
Oh, sorry, yes.
Dr. Miranda?
Yes.
Mr. Dare?
Yes. Yes.
Chair Ingles?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, we will go ahead and move on to item 4.5, which is policy 8640, transportation for non-routine trips. This is a complete replacement of current policy. Since this policy was last reviewed and adopted by the Board of Education, there have been 4 policy updates from Neola. So we are coming up to speed on that policy as well. And Mr. Stufflebeam, would you please help us walk through it?
Yeah. This is the non-routine use of school buses for trips. School bus trips are field trips, athletic trips, anything that is in the school hours or outside of the school hours, and this permits us to be able to use yellow bus services for that. One key factor that this also instituted the new language around a multifunctional school activity bus. We currently don't have any of those, but we felt it was important to leave in here should the event down the road in the future, we want to entertain that option as a possibility.
Can you tell us what that is?
A multifunction school activity bus is a school bus without the warning lights to tell you to stop. And it is not allowed to be used for school to home, or correction, home to school and school to home. It is strictly from point A to point B for an activity that the school is sponsoring. Okay?
And we don't have any of those?
No, sir.
Are there any opportunities in the future to obtain a fleet that might include said buses, and have you thought about what those might look like?
Well, they're going to be mandated to look like the School Bus Construction Standards Committee requires, absence of the lighting. We're always open to that discussion. There's a discussion, I think you and I had it a little bit in the beginning. The cost associated for those is a little less than a school bus because of the complexities of an 8-way system, which is what the lighting system is called. So it includes your stop arm, your both front and back stop lights, amber lights, and all of the wiring harnesses that run that and control that is a multiplex system. And that in itself is a lot of feet of wire and things that cause the buses to, it's a significant increase when you add those lights to it. So the amount we would need if we were to use a lot of those, I mean, you'd be adding, it's very easy to use a school bus to do the multifunction trips. This is strictly one-dimensional. It can't be used for anything else. But it is an option that if someone wants to donate something to us in the future, possibly, it could be utilized for that. But as
So
to.
it would be something like, you tell me, could it be something like taking our kids that go to a high school to downtown high school? Because that's a no stopping trip in the middle. They go from point A to B. Is that what you're talking about? Or is it more like an after-school activity where they're going from school to the opposing team's soccer field?
I would need to research the school to school, but if they're they're going from a school to, say, the convention center, it could be used to transport them from there. But because you're tying it from a school to a school,
Just don't do a lot of that, I don't think. We
I
don't do a lot of that.
would
do
need
we?
to do, no.
Yeah.
No. But we decided.
But we could,
it was-
yeah, I get it, yeah.
It's an option that we wanted to keep open should we ever encounter the need to have one.
Yeah, and an option for an addition of fleets, should they ever be donated from some illustrious donor who's watching this committee and wants to help out our schools.
Absolutely.
Anyone?
Bonus if they're EV.
I just don't think that's the highest need, though. We don't really
No,
need them right now, but
keep the
other donating needs.
Okay, any questions?
So I'm just curious, third sentence up. So at a sporting event, the athlete who doesn't want to go back on the bus and just go with their parent, all they have to do is tell the coach, the principal, we're not riding the bus. Is that what that was referring to?
Can you point me where you're at?
All
I'm
students
sorry.
are expected to ride the approved vehicle to and from each activity.
Okay.
A
Yes.
special request must be made, but it does say in person.
In writing or in person to
Yeah,
allow
so they're just
exception.
supposed to notify.
Yes.
Okay. We know they don't always do that, but yeah. Okay. Just checking.
We do every effort to follow the rules on that as we can when we are able.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments about the policy? Okay, hearing none, I will go ahead and make the motion that the Policy and Governance Committee move Policy 8640 forward to the Board of Education for review and consideration. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Ms. Smith. Any conversation or question?
Sorry, I just want to, just to be clear, when we're doing the complete redo of the policies, it's because it's just too much to edit, right? Because there's just so many changes, so it's just best to kind of start over.
Yeah, it gets difficult to follow, and then we lose the message and kind of the mess of it.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, Mr. Williams, will you please call the roll?
Chair Ingles?
Yes.
Ms. Adair?
Yes.
Dr. Miranda?
Yes.
Ms. Ellingson?
Yep.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Vogel?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, we will move on to item 4.6, which is policy 8650, transportation by alternative vehicles. It is another complete replacement policy. This policy has had 5 updates since it was last adopted and reviewed by the Board of Education. So complete replacement made sense because there were so many changes to the policy and language itself. Mr. Stuffelbein, would you please walk us through the policy, but would you mind starting by explaining what an alternative vehicle is?
Yes, ma'am. An alternative vehicle is a school van or a sedan or anything of that nature that is 9 or less passengers, to not include the driver. And I'll back up a little bit on this. Originally, when the legislature passed the law moving it from 8 to 9 passengers, that was one of the changes that didn't affect us because we only had 8 passenger vans. So there was no need to update at that point in time. So now that they have since changed it again, and now we have to wait for federal regulations to change for us to be able to purchase anything other than a 9-passenger van, this was one of the ones that we felt was required to be updated. Should we go to purchase new vans now, we want to make sure we're compliant with that statute. That 9-passenger van does not include the driver, so we can now load 9 students in that van. Unfortunately, the vans we have right now are still 8-passenger, so it doesn't apply to us with what we have, but it allows us in the future for a next round of vans that we may purchase to purchase the next size up, which will give us the 9-passenger capacity. And again, this is a complete revision to the policy that we had in place prior to. And it's basically revolving around the capacities of the vans and the alternative vehicles.
Any questions or comments from the committee? Why do we use alternative vehicles in the district?
We utilize them for those difficult to get to one-off 2 or 3 students that have a special needs, where we would send a bus to go get 2 students clear up in the corners of the district, so up around the New Albany, the win-win areas. We have a lot of special needs up in that direction, and we can't fill a bus with it, and we're actually only getting about 2 or 3 students out of that. It was much more economical for us to purchase vans and use vans to go travel that. They get through the traffic much faster than a school bus does, still safely within the legal limits, but the cost to operate in itself is far cheaper. As I say that, the fuel prices are through the roof, and I don't think any of us estimated that. But it's primarily as a resource to allow us to better align our yellow bus fleet to work within the 270 loop, so to speak, is how we look at it.
Does this apply to, and actually, I'm just making an assumption here, that our schools are still using vans? I feel like we just bought some for schools. Does this apply to that too?
Their vans are their vans.
Gotcha.
The 60 that we purchased are strictly for our fleet to use. But we are actively looking at the forecast and the 5-year replacement plan for those. And there has been some of the school vans that are earmarked for replacement through additional resources.
Okay, does this policy, though, apply to the school vans? Looking at legal. Or is it just the transportation vans?
Do you want me to answer it? So I will answer that. As the vans apply, it applies to every driver that is certified to those. So the school vans are also allowed to be utilized by a certified van driver. So part of Mr. Lewis's job in compliance is to certify anyone from a building that wants to be van certified to, say, transport the golf team to an event and not have to send a bus to run 5 students to a golf course in Sunbury or something of that nature. We can then certify that that coach to be a van driver. They can go use the school van to do that trip instead of using a yellow bus to do that. Or if we need to, we can assign out one of the white van fleets and let them utilize that to do that.
Okay. The policy contemplates administrative guidelines.
Okay.
What types of administrative guidelines do you anticipate being developed?
The administrative guidelines are the guidelines for the testing and the random drug test process. That is a part of one of the House bills that was recently introduced, and I became effective July of 2025. Anyone who holds a van certificate within the state of Ohio through a school district is now mandated to be randomly drug tested. And I know that we are working hand in hand with John Dean's office to establish those administrative guidelines as it pertains to fleet school van drivers and school building officials that are coaches and so forth, and teachers that have some of those requirements. We oversee all of their certifications, and we oversee the random testing processes on that. So those are the main administrative guidelines that we would adhere to with this policy.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, I will go ahead and move that the committee move policy 8650 forward to the Board of Education for review and consideration. Is there a second?
Second.
Is Adair seconds. Board Member Adair seconds. Mr. Williams, are there any questions or comments before the vote? Hearing none, Mr. Williams, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Vogel?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Ellingson?
Yes.
Dr. Miranda?
Yes.
Ms. Adair?
Yes.
Chair Engel?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, we will move on to item 4.7, policy 8651, the non-routine use of school buses. This is not a complete replacement of a policy. It has big section of green with new language. And this policy has been updated, it looks like one time since its last adoption. So, Mr. Stufflebean, would you mind walking us through the changes for this policy?
As you recall, we did one just recently about non-routine trips. This is what covers the vehicle portion of that. The trips are exactly what they are, the trips, and this goes over the requirements for the vehicles used for those trips. And it's it outlines the use of when we can use these buses, buses for school activities, and entities during emergencies. This gives us the authority, should there be a national emergency or a local emergency, that we have the authorization to lend our buses to FEMA if they need to come in, and it gives us the authority and allows us to loan our fleet to them to help in a disaster or any emergency.
And if there is such an emergency, I see that we struck through language that talked about the reimbursement being in accordance with the AGs, but I see that the reimbursement language does fall within section B here, the last sentence.
Correct.
Do you have any concern about not having administrative guidelines that put forward terms and conditions for how you would seek said reimbursement?
I would say we have administrative guidelines that outline this.
Yeah, we talked about this.
Yeah.
We have an AG on this, that is correct, in terms of what we're doing.
Okay, so just because we're deleting the requirement that we have the AG, we don't anticipate rolling back any AGs that would set forth any guidance for how to seek that reimbursement? Correct. Ensure compliance?
Correct.
Okay.
Well, I see that changed.
I see Mr. O'Connor is like.
Yep, struggling over here. Just because we currently have it, fantastic. I'm worried about down the road, if it goes away, there's no requirement to have it. So that's why I think it should remain in there.
Why was it struck?
It was struck because the language, some of the language moved up. There's no, it's a simple fix to just add that we shall have an administrative guideline.
Yeah.
Well, this change appears to be that, also that in the old version it said costs shall be reimbursed. And now board may seek reimbursement, so.
Yeah.
But also how, is the shall operative? I mean, can we enforce the shall? I don't know.
Is that a legal change? Like, did the law change? Like, now we proactively have to do something to get the reimbursement from, or is it that, like, we can't, we will get it? Was there any change in the law on that?
I would have to look that up, or look at the AG.
I don't think so.
We've lost power.
You know what I mean? Because sometimes the state will make it more of a burden for us to do like paperwork or something like that to seek the reimbursement instead of just giving us a reimbursement. I didn't know if there was some sort of, or if this is tied to anything like that.
The new language in green is tied to newer statute. So if I was going to err on the side of one of them, which is what we did, we err on the side of the newer language.
Yeah, I think for me, I would like to keep in the language about there being administrative guidelines to comply with when we are seeking reimbursement, just because that is a fiscal matter. And I think that it's good for us to have policies and procedures in place with clear guidelines on how we are going to handle those fiscal matters. That is just a compliance issue that makes me a little nervous to strike.
It looks like the law uses may seek.
Should include provisions related to
may recover expenses. So, from Michelle.
That's in essence. Yep. I think we've got to fix.
Got to fix? What's your suggestion?
Do you want to read what you
The
thought?
superintendent shall develop administrative guidelines, which should, among other things, related to seeking reimbursement, blah, blah, blah.
Include provisions related to seeking reimbursement.
But they were not limited, but it definitely includes that.
Any other questions or comments from the committee? Hearing none, I will go ahead and make the motion that we adopt policy 86, or I'm sorry, that this committee recommend that the Board of Education review, consider, and adopt policy 8651 with said revisions as stated so eloquently by Auditor O'Connor. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Board Member Adair. Any conversation, questions, comments? Hearing none, Mr. Williams, will you please call the roll?
Chair Ingles?
Yes.
Ms. Adair?
Yes.
Dr. Miranda?
Yes.
Ms. Ellingson?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Vogel?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Okay. So we are going to go ahead. Thank you, Mr. Stuffleby, for taking us through
Thank you.
all of those policies, and good work to the team. We will go ahead and move on to item 4.8, policy 5751, parental status of students. This policy was before this committee March 10th, 2025 on our agenda, and the committee did forward at the time the policy to the board. The board had a first read of the policy. It actually occurred on April 1st, 2025, and the board did not actually take any action on the policy. It did a first read and moved on. So it is still sitting for the board for review. The updated policy strengthens and expands support and accommodations for pregnant and parenting students. It fully replaces the policy that was initially adopted in 2015. We'll call out that the policy provides that no student, whether married or unmarried, who's otherwise eligible to attend school in the district shall be discriminated against or denied participation in an educational program or activity solely because of said pregnancy, childbirth, pregnancy-related disability, or actual or potential parenthood. This is a Title IX protection. And consistent with Title IX of the Education Amendments of 1972, the policy includes that pregnant and postpartum students may request reasonable accommodations, including excused absences for medically necessary conditions, with full reinstatement and opportunities to make up missed work. Lactating students are provided time, a private non-bathroom space, and academic flexibility to express breast milk during the school day. The policy also meets Title IX requirements that guarantee the student's right to remain and participate in educational programs and activities of the district, to participate in extracurricular activities to the same extent as other students, to be free from harassment, intimidation, or discrimination based on pregnancy or related conditions, for excused absences for prenatal care, childbirth, and recovery as medically necessary, for modifications to physical education requirements or other activities upon medical recommendation. There are two fairly newer laws federally that this policy does comply with from 2022, Protection for Nursing Mothers Act and the Pregnant Workers Fairness Act. And so I felt that it was necessary to, since the board hasn't taken action on it in over a year, I felt that it would be the type of policy that maybe we would want to relook at and see if there's any thoughts or any additions, considerations, or questions before we move back to the board and ask them to consider adoption of the policy, because we just didn't take action on it last year, but it's been a year, so wanted to revisit it and make sure that we didn't see anything that could be beneficial for our students. So with that, any questions or considerations? And I will first call on Ms. Ellingson.
Thank you, Chair Ingalls. I've had a recent experience with this, so I would, in terms of the location, I would like us to add that an outlet is also required.
Like a power outlet?
Yes. For the lactation room?
What is our policy for our adults, like our staff, our teachers? Because we have to have a lactation policy for them too. What,
A lactation policy.
yeah, like for our staff. Is it, I want to make sure they're consistent as well. Is this consistent with what is in our, where is that policy?
It is. Well, I don't think we have a policy specific to our staff.
We should.
But this is, we do have rooms for our staff. And in fact, this policy, Neola took it directly from federal requirements to provide for staff, for employees. So this is very similar to those requirements. But I don't believe there is a specific policy for staff.
We should.
I'm gonna look into that.
Okay.
If you do have a policy for staff, I would highly encourage you to
Same.
require that the outlet be there. It is a hardship to have to buy a different kind of pump, which is expensive, or to forego pumping because you can't find a room. This happened to me at a leadership program where a small group of us had to band together and search the premises so that there was a functional and dignified space to pump. So it's essential in any policy.
Yes, we do have, and I could not quote the specific policy because it's very general. It does not specify lactation rooms, but it does specify following federal law. And I think it quotes federal law.
I also feel like there's in the workers' policy or best practices also saying something about a location to store milk.
Yeah.
I don't see that in.
Yeah, we'll take a look at it. We'll take a look
Yeah, we don't have any language in this about storing milk. Or allowing for the, to bring
carry,
equipment or
yeah.
carry equipment that would allow for safe storage of said milk.
I mean, does that go through our security system? The machine? Like, there's just more, when it's a student that has to do this, there's just more, like, staff don't go through our security. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think there's more to think about here. This is Neola's attempt, I think, to take what the federal law did to protect adults and our employees and apply it to our students, which is appropriate and I think long overdue. This is their basic language. I'm happy they went this far, but you're clearly pointing out things that we should consider, whether that goes into this policy and then also into policy affecting staff or an administrative guideline if we feel like we need more detail. But questions about the security system and things like that, we'll have to look into that.
So what I'm hearing is what the outlet for the lactation.
Considered like
The
is it
storing of
considered a medical, would it be considered like a medical device for our student? I mean, I know right, like, we don't need specific medical authorization, do we? Like, no, you don't think so?
Medical
Sure.
authorization to do what?
For them to bring in this equipment to use on school premise?
No, I think just the fact that they have a child.
But, I mean,
It might be considered a medical device. I mean, it's reimbursable by insurance.
I mean, would they just need a doctor's note or something, or, because, when we give our students medication, we have to fill out the nurse's thing, and then there's, and I don't know about medical devices, like, I'm sure other students have, there are medical devices that we use in school. So, I mean, again, I think there's just more to think about when we overlay this over a student.
I don't know if there's a way to brainstorm on your own and send Sarah some questions, because I can certainly go back to who I think would be able to answer the questions. One, our health services team, and have some of these answers get back to you before we bring it to the board, and also look into some of these other questions.
Great.
I do have more if I may go on. Okay.
That's what we asked for, so.
Yes. So the first sentence of the one beginning with lactating students will be provided a reasonable amount of time to express breast milk during the school day. My question is whether extracurriculars are part of the school day.
I'll leave that to the legal team to
Right.
answer, as it's probably.
I do not believe so, but we'll check that. I do not believe.
I think that the aim of this goes back to the attendance that we heard, because it would be those minutes would be excused, and I think that that's really what this is getting towards. But like, what is your concern when you say extracurricular?
Like the workday, you look at your schedule and you're like, when do I have time to go pump? And you figure it out, and sometimes it lands in the middle of something, which might be a virtual meeting, or it might be a thing that you actually have to miss. I know that athletics, for example, is a time when we prize helping students develop discipline, again, like being on time, all those things apply. This may be a very valid reason to be gone intermittently. And so really just about in the spirit of accommodating them and being inclusive, to acknowledge that that may be a time where they are participating to the best of their ability, but do need an accommodation there as well. I don't expect, may I keep going?
Yes, keep going.
I don't expect you to know the answer to this, but I was just thinking, I think highly of district staff and the intent of this. But as I read the sentence, the principal or school nurse will develop a schedule for expressing breast milk based on the student's current needs. That could go different ways. And it feels like that should be something where you'd want a lot of student input on what that should look like. I would only assume that that's what staff would do, but just the way that this is written, it leaves room for someone else to have like a schedule in mind of what's necessary when you may need extra support.
For staff to determine what the
Right.
needs are.
Yeah. If you don't have enough milk and you need to pump every 2.5 hours or every 2 hours, if you have a block, which happens and is miserable, you might need an accelerated schedule, right? So without wanting you to have to design everything that should, prepare for every contingency that goes into this policy, it would be great if there would just be a call out to working with the student to develop it. Yeah. So I know people love to get a hall pass whenever, but that's not, we shouldn't design for that student. We should design for the student who wants to be in class, but also needs to pump a lot.
I do want to note, has anybody looked at the current policy? I would recommend, I wish we could put it up on the screen, because
We probably can.
They can put it up.
IT, are you able to help us put up the current version of policy 5751 for the?
I think when you see it, you're going to know why we've been pushing so hard to bring this back around, because it doesn't provide for anything.
Right, so
At all.
So real briefly, what the current
Yeah, we
policy
can, it's this
does
long.
is it's three paragraphs. The first paragraph is one sentence. The second paragraph is 2 sentences. The second paragraph is 1 sentence, and the third paragraph is 2 sentences. And it doesn't provide for lactation rooms or anything. Yep, that's it.
I think very importantly, the sentence that gets me caught up is a pregnant student will be considered on an excused absence for so long a period as it is deemed medically necessary by the student's physician. I mean, there's no flexibility in it at all. So I think Neola made an attempt. And a lot of this language actually is pulled out of the federal law. It is federal law language that was intended for.
For adult workers.
Exactly. It's not perfect. This was their attempt to try to provide the same accommodations for similarly situated students.
So-
Doesn't mean it's perfect, but
Kyle,
I just
what's
want to
your-
make sure you know how limited what we have on the books is.
What's your concern with that language that you just read?
It deemed medically necessary.
Because I think it's the exact same language as is in the newly written policy. So if we have a concern, we should address that language probably as well.
I just think that this is just a personal comment. I think if someone is pregnant, they could feel ill and not want to go to school for that reason. And this requires basically a physician to acknowledge that. I think lacks a little flexibility.
Well, I mean, we just look, I hear you, but we did just look at the attendance policies. And it does require for other type of conditions to also have excuses from your medical provider. I would hope that our students are seeking medical care during pregnancy. And it wouldn't be and it says, for long period of time, I don't know what that means, but, I would assume that this would be something, if someone is ill or sick, that's a parent call-in. It doesn't have to be a doctor. But if it's a pregnancy-related, I've never been pregnant, so like condition where you are more sick, maybe you have like really bad morning sickness and it's like longer term, I think a doctor's note may be necessary because it has to take them out, because remember, they still are supposed to get the minutes. And there's only so many times a parent can call in without the doctor's note. So, I guess I don't understand how you taking that out jives with the attendance policies and the requirements for the minutes of the educational minutes.
I'm not suggesting taking it out. I'm just suggesting that there's not a lot of elaboration or accommodation language in this policy.
Oh, sure.
I'm not
totally agree with that.
suggesting
That's
taking
why,
it out.
we want to think about it more.
You're exactly right, too. And in the new policy for attendance, one of the green sections, which is new language, addresses this very thing.
Right.
That a student may have excused absence for medical reasons, such as personal illness or a medical visit, subject to the following rules. A student may have up to 9 medically excused absences without a doctor's note, but with a phone call from a parent. And then if you extend past that, just like you're saying, COVID is something like that, something that's longer term, then a medical excuse becomes necessary. But that's actually new language in our attendance policy based on updates in the law, so.
May I continue? I will be relentless. I'm sorry. So I actually just appreciate being here at this point of the conversation. I think that it sounds like this is an improvement. I appreciate that. And again, I don't have the correct language to hand you, and I don't expect you to lob it back at me, but maybe take it back as food for thought. I know that, and oh, by the way, that sentence that we're debating, the way I actually interpreted that is that if you need a C-section, for example, your doctor will say you should have more time. Might be the difference between 6 or 8 weeks. And so showing that, leaving that deference to the physician here may be of support to the student. So that's why I didn't flag off in my brain to begin with. But one thing that just sticks out in my mind is before, years ago when I was at the city, we had a situation where female police officers were neither entitled to paid family leave nor short-term disability. Short-term disability was not part of what was bargained because you can make inferences there. But so what happened is this person had a stillbirth, and they were shuffled into the bereavement policy, which was like 5 days. And there was nothing that I could fix about that, and it was terrible. So that taught me that pregnancy and childbirth is a winding path, and we should think of all the things that could happen. I'm sure that your mind can come up with them, but they are pregnancy and its termination, live and stillbirths, and what are all the things that happen from that, and all of those people need accommodation. So I'm looking at that first sentence of the second paragraph, pregnant students and students recovering from childbirth may request blah, 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 blah. So I am excited to see what this policy looks like next time, and happy to support offline or just to welcome your creativity there. But I think if we can think about the full diverse outcomes of being pregnant as we read this, and lots of those people will need different kinds of help.
And I would also request that, I think John Dean was on, I don't know if he's still on, but I really would be interested in knowing about what our employment policies are around this. Because everything she said right now is exactly what should be in an employment policy too. I know that's not what we're doing right now, but they should mirror each other as much as possible.
Just to make clear something I think you just said, or feedback, I mean, so yours, one note would be that word childbirth could be changed to recover from pregnancy,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Just to be clear.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We can be accidentally prescriptive, and I would just say, let's try to be broad.
Thanks for all your feedback.
The title of this policy also throws me because it says parental status of students, but this seems to really only touch on pregnancy, people that are able to carry a child. And so I had asked in our briefing, like, what, if any, protections do the people that impregnate the other person have? Because, if they want to be participatory, or, I mean, I know this is a lot of medical stuff in this here, but I don't know if the title needs adjusting, or if there is other policies that would apply to those situations where, someone wanted to attend doctor's appointments or something like that. So kind of thinking about it more holistically, if that person was one of our students.
I will say that in the attendance policy, there is a broad sweeping statement about the superintendent, other reasons deemed good and sufficient cause for absence by the superintendent. There's, other duties as assigned, and, it's a broad sweeping statement that could fit into, but I hear you. I just wanted to point out that it's there, not that it's sufficient necessarily.
I just think the title of it, and I don't know if that, because that was our title from before.
It's Neola's title.
Okay, but it's not really, that's not really what this is actually about, so.
Open to suggestions. It's not what I would choose, but.
I would love to hear your suggestions as our policy expert.
Absolutely. I'll have to think about it.
Yeah, not right now.
Yeah.
Think about it. And this is part of the reason why we felt very strongly we should bring this back up for consideration, just because there had been time and, near and dear. Any other suggestions at this point? So what I would ask is that we take this back with the feedback and then bring back some additional language that the committee can chew on at its next meeting. I understand the urgency of trying to update the policy, but we've had it in place for how long now? And I would ask that, our administrative staff and, educators, teachers, everybody that's interacting with a student remain flexible and work with building administrators and said team, expanded team, in order to put our students in the best position possible as we work through the language of the policy for moving forward. So we will take no action as a committee on this matter at this time, but look forward to having further dialogue with hopefully some new and improved language. And thank you so much to the committee for giving a lot of thought to this one. I think we have had a really positive and robust discussion tonight. So with that, we have hit the agenda items for the committee this evening. Thank you all so much for being here. Hearing no other business before the committee, we will go ahead and adjourn. Thank you.
need a motion, motion to adjourn.
I mean,
Yeah, motion to adjourn.
There's like a
Second.
Okay, that's Trustee Vogel. Who else?
too anxious.
I
move.
Another terrible
Yeah.
voice.
Okay.
We're in, it's the Leadership Columbus, and we're at the